Hello friends, Adam here with FED, and happy tier list Tuesday. Today we're going to be tiering the personal skills in Fire Emblem 3 Houses. There are a lot of them because every single character has one. We're only going to be doing playable characters because there are a few, like Rhea has one, I believe some of the other less main characters like Rodrigue and stuff, I think they might have personal skills too. But we're not going to talk about those. We're only going to be talking about playable characters. The tiers we'll be separating our characters into are S tier, which is literally, originally I was going to label it always useful, but I realized that the ones that I wanted to put in there may not always be useful, but they're so good when they are useful, they had to be just the top of the top. So S tier is just the best of the best, as good as they get. Usually useful is exactly what you think, exactly what it sounds like. Useful a lot of the time, rarely, same. And just bad. These just bad ones might have some uses here or there, but I honestly just feel like they aren't very good, personally. I think they're pretty bad. And now this is all my opinion, all that stuff that I should say before we get started so people don't yell at me. You'll probably yell at me anyways. But that's the point. So please check out the tier list, watch the video, and give me your thoughts at the end. Alright, first things first. The Byleths. So Byleth has two personal skills. One is pre-Chapter 10 and one is post-Chapter 10. Pre-Chapter 10 is S tier, easily. So it's Professor's Guidance, which gives 20% extra experience to himself or herself, and also to characters that are adjacent to Byleth. So you should pretty much always have your characters fighting next to Byleth where possible to be getting this extra experience, especially on Maddening, where the experience is really, really tight at the beginning. So really good, always going to be useful. Byleth always is going to be getting extra experience, and giving extra experience to your allies, and that's just really, really good. But post Chapter 10, or Awakened Byleth, has an even better skill. It's the exact same name, Professor's Guidance. It's like Professor's Guidance Plus, but it also just gives a free +2 damage dealt buff to Byleth, which is awesome. So same thing, just a little better. Next we have the 3 House Lords, and they all have the exact same skill. It has different names, but they do the same thing. They get 20% extra experience. So it's as if they're by Byleth, they get that buff, but they don't give it to their allies. So it's great. But those 3 also, you can probably hear Milo walking in the background. Sorry, guys. I'm just gonna leave it in. They also have post-timeskip skills, where they have the original effect of 20% extra experience, but also they all gain an extra little ability. And honestly, a couple of them are really, really good. So the noise you're hearing is Milo trying to hide a bone in his dog bed. So he's like digging in his dog bed. Silly pupper. Hey, stop. You're gonna ruin your bed. Alright, we'll start with Edelgard, and her Imperial Lineage Plus gives the 20% extra experience, but also when she waits or uses the wait command, doesn't attack or use an item or anything like that, she gets +4 resistance, which I think is not that great of a buff to it, but it still gives +20 experience and something more than what Edelgard already had, so objectively better than these 3, right? Dimitri's Royal Lineage Plus gives him +20 evade when he's at full HP, which can be super useful. That makes Dimitri one of your most viable dodge tanks in the game. Just that skill alone, plus giving him something like Sword Avoid from Dancer, and then an Avoid Battalion, and then just having him be at full HP, he dodges a lot of stuff. Good stuff, man. Really, really good. Always useful, one of the better skills in the game. Now Claude. Leicester Lineage, or Lester. I always say Lester, Leicester. I always say it wrong. Lester Lineage, again, 20% experience, but also grants the effect of Pass, which allows a unit to move through a space occupied by an enemy unit. So essentially, with him flying as well, he's basically can just move anywhere, uninhibited. Really awesome skill. I don't know whose is better between Claude's and Dimitri's, but I'm just going to leave it like that for now. Alright, next we have Hubert. Hubert's Officer Duty gives +5 damage when he's using a Gambit, and as nice as that sounds, I don't think Gambit damage is as important as like accuracy or other factors given by Gambits. So I'm going to put it into rarely useful. I don't think you're very often going to be hoping for that +5 damage when using a Gambit. And next we have Ferdinand, which is Confidence, which gives him 15 hit and 15 avoid when at full HP. So it's kind of like Dimitri's, except minus the 20% experience boost, which is really great. But also, you take damage, you lose it. I'm going to put it into usually useful. I know a lot of people like to talk about Ferdinand's ability to be a dodge tank similar to Dimitri, and it's there for sure. I just don't think that is enough to put it into S tier. Just the extra ability to hit and dodge a little bit more effectively without the added buff of getting the 20 experience definitely drops it an entire tier to me. Linhardt's Catnap. When he waits, he restores 10% HP, which is pretty bad, in my opinion. Just bad. It's bad. How often are you going to not want to use a healer on a turn in Fire Emblem? Especially with one with Physic, where he can heal all over the map. There's basically no reason to keep him... there's almost no reason to have him wait almost any turn, except for like the first turn maybe or something when no one's damaged or something. But then he's not damaged, so why do you need to wait to get the plus 10 HP? It's a total just stupid, doesn't work, pointless skill to me. It fits his character, I get that. It fits his character really well because he's like falls asleep a lot, he's always sleepy. Therefore Catnap. But in practice, not a good skill. Okay, Caspar's Born Fighter, which adjacent enemies receive avoid -10 during combat. While interesting, I don't know how practical it is to put into like S tier. I don't think it's going to be like super amazing. Granted, I do think it's like usually useful, so I'm going to put it here for now. I do think Caspar's personal skill is usually useful. It does debuff enemies to some extent, and he's going to be a frontline fighter in many of the builds that you would tend to put Caspar in, so he'll be affecting every enemy he fights, but hopefully some enemies that your other units are fighting as well. So yeah, I think that's pretty good. -10 avoid just makes hitting more effective, and early game mapping, that's really nice. Alright, Bernadetta's Persecution Complex. When she's not at full HP, she does 5 extra damage, and I love that. Really, really good. I don't think I have to explain why 5 extra damage with something that is really easy to control like her HP stat is useful. Therefore, top of usually useful. Dorothea's Songstress restores 10% of an ally's HP who is adjacent to her. I don't like it, so I'm just gonna put it in just bad. I don't like this skill. It's not something you can really depend on, and I wish Dorothea would have gotten something more useful. Again, it fits with her because, you know, singing Songstress, that's kind of her whole thing. She's a performer, but I don't think it's in practice a very good skill. Right, Petra. I also don't like Petra's all that much. Hunter's Boon. When the foe has less than 50% HP, critical rate +20. I'm gonna say it's rarely useful. If an enemy unit already has less than 50% HP, do you really need a crit to kill? And if you need a crit to kill, how good of a unit are you? The only time I really see this being useful, which is why I put it into rarely useful, is for monsters with a lot of HP. You know, when you're fighting a monster that has 120 HP and you get below 60, a crit would be really nice. Let's be honest. So yeah, rarely useful. So like when you're fighting monsters, great. Other units, I feel is a pretty weak skill. All right, Dedue. Early game, Dedue's Staunch Shield is one of the better skills in the game, but it really wears off its usefulness in the mid to late game. So when he waits, he gets +4 defense. So again, waiting, meaning he doesn't use any other action, he doesn't attack, he doesn't use an item, doesn't trade with anyone, he just waits. Actually, you might be able to trade and then wait. I think you probably can do that, actually. Yeah, because you're using the wait command. Yeah, so you can trade and then wait. But anyways, it's really useful early game, but I feel like it stops being useful in the late game. So I really struggle where to put this. I think I will put it into usually useful. Just because having like a 12 defense unit in Chapter 1 of Maddening is so nice. Like when you play Blue Lions and you have that compared to when you don't have that in every other route. It's a nice little buff and boost. So yeah, just for its early game utility, I'll put it into usually useful because it really is. So okay. Alright, Felix, Lone Wolf. I'm tempted to put this one into just bad, but I think we'll put it into rarely useful. So Felix, when he does not have a battalion or equipped, or if his battalion is dead or has 0 endurance, he deals 5 extra damage. And I know what you're saying, that's 5 extra damage, that's awesome. Well, there is an E-rank battalion that gives you +4 attack power, which is just 1 less than what he has, I get that. So it's less, but it also gives you other buffs to other like hit and crit and stuff. So there's almost no reason to ever really use Lone Wolf. I mean, if your battalion dies, I guess it's a nice little buff for you to have. But once, even just a few chapters in, you're gonna have battalions that can supplant that. And in the late game, if you get him to like just like C battalions, there's stuff that gives him like +7 attack if you do some of the paralogs and whatnot. So I see no really good reason to use his Lone Wolf ability. So I'm just rarely useful, not very good. Alright, Ash. I struggle with this one, because, you know, in practice, lockpick is pretty dumb, because you can just buy door and chest keys. But on the other hand, I guess that saves you a few $100, or a few hundred gold in game. I don't know, I'm going to put it into rarely useful, because there are chests on some maps, but most of the time, lockpick is just dumb. It's not that useful. So yeah. Alright, Sylvain. I really like Sylvain's Philanderer. He deals +2 damage and receives -2 damage when next to a female ally. And I love that. I don't think it's as good as the ones we have above him here with all the lords and Byleth, but I really like Philanderer. It makes Sylvain, it really synergizes well with a couple of other units, and since he's so easy to recruit with female Byleth specifically, you're going to have at least one really good frontline female unit when recruiting him. So that's just an easy buff to his damage. It's just like another reason that female Byleth is just better than male Byleth in many instances. Yeah, I love Sylvain's skill. Really good. Alright, Mercedes. Mercedes is interesting. I'm going to put it to usually useful, I think. It's live to serve. She heals herself the same amount she heals other people. And for the unit who is like the quote, like just like the healer of the party, she has the best healing ability of like any character in the game. That's pretty awesome, right? You would think that'd be like perfect. But the thing is, she's rarely going to be taking damage, so I don't think it's going to be like always useful or just like always amazing. I think I'm going to put it down to top of rarely useful actually. Originally so before I do these tier lists, I plan it all out and I have it set up beforehand. But I think I'm going to make that change now talking about it. I think rarely useful fits that more. How often is Mercedes going to be in danger or taking damage and need live to serve? In the few instances where it does happen, yeah, it's great. But more often than not, she's in the back line not taking damage. So rarely useful. I really like Annette's Perseverance. It just gives her rally strength at base. That combined with her other rally abilities that she learns pretty fast, like rally speed at, I think, C+ authority, is a really good combo. So I really like Perseverance on Annette. Giving someone +4 strength, even in, again, like Chapter 1, awesome. Awesome stuff. Alright, Lady Knight. Ingrid has Lady Knight when she uses a gambit, +3 might, +5 hit. I'm more interested in the +5 hit than the +3 might. I think it is slightly better than Hubert's. That's what we'll say. I think it's slightly better than Hubert's, just because I like the hit more than I like the extra damage that Hubert does. So yeah, again, gambits, I feel like gambits, especially on Maddening, are less about the damage you deal and more about freezing enemies in place. And of course, breaking monster guards. So the damage is nice, but I like that +5 hit rate. Especially early game gambits are really hard to hit, man. Really hard to hit. Unless you have like Rally Charm ready to go with Manuela or Dorothea or something. Or you use like the birthday gift that you get as Byleth. Or you just, I don't know, have a unit with really high charm. Alright, Lorenz, who has Distinguished House. When a battalion is deployed, damage dealt +2. I really like it. I'll have another. I like it's just +2 damage when he has a battalion, which should be always if you're fielding him. So yeah, +2 damage. It's free, easy to use, always useful, great stuff. Wish it was on a better unit. Oh! Oh, Raphael's goodie basket. I feel so bad for this man. I love Raphael as a character. He's he's a big lovable goofball. But holy cow, his skill is just bad. Goodie basket. At the start of a turn, this unit has a luck percent chance of regaining 10% of his HP. A luck percent chance, number one, so it's not going to happen every time, to gain just 10% of his HP back. And he can have a massive HP stat, but even no matter how big it is, like, the most you're going to be healing is like a 6 or maybe 7 if you're like really leveling them up HP, if you get lucky enough for it to proc and activate. So bad. One of the worst skills in the game, man. It's so bad. Alright, my man Ignatz, Watchful Eye. It's just a flat hit rate plus 20. One of the most underrated skills in the game, in my opinion. So good. So good. I freaking love Watchful Eye. It also affects gambits, by the way. So he's really good for early gambiting in the early game where hitting isn't necessarily a guarantee. And you can also stack it with another hit plus 20 for Mastering Archer, and then he can make use of, you know, like some less accurate combat arts and stuff that make him really good. Also, Hunter's Volley eventually too, to make sure he hits with that. Just I love the personal skills that give just a flat buff that you don't have to think about, but is always going to be applied. That is so good. Just plus 20 hit. Plus 20 hit. Amazing. Amazing. Alright, Lysithea's Mastermind. I think we know where this is going to go. Always useful. I mean, yeah, always useful. S tier. It's amazing. It just makes it so Lysithea learns things faster, which is going to get you to warp faster. It's going to get you to dark spikes in time for Death Knight and stuff like that. Amazing skill. I was going to say it's underrated, but I don't think it's underrated. I think people know how good it is. Being able to learn stuff quickly, including like your authority rank to get better battalions, which she really wants a good battalion like the McQuill, Evil, Repelling, whatever, Corporation, whatever they're called. Stuff like that. Awesome, awesome, awesome skill. Marianne. Oh, Marianne got shafted. So bad. So Marianne's Animal Friend. When adjacent to a horseback or flying ally, restores 20% HP at the start of the turn. So I like this more than, say, Raphael's, and also these two. Actually, I think it's probably my favorite one because it's easy to control. It doesn't require you to not act on your player phase, and it's 20%. So I like that better than some of the other stuff that we already have here. I like it better than Catnap, and definitely better than Goodie Basket from Raphael. So Animal Friend with Marianne, I think, is one of the better self-healing personal skills, but I still think it's not that good. Still bad. I'd rather have something else. All right, Hilda. I love Hilda's Advocate. When an adjacent man, reading is hard, guys. When an adjacent male ally enters battle, that male ally's damage dealt +3. So she was who I was talking about with Sylvain. Pairing her with Sylvain can really do some magical things, man. Magical stuff. One of my favorite personal skills in the game, if I'm being honest. Philanderer, especially pairing it with Philanderer. Really good stuff. So it's just +3 damage to adjacent male allies. And the reason I like it so much on Hilda, too, is because Hilda does have the stats and the ability to become a frontline fighter and to be right up there with Sylvain, who is also a frontline fighter. It really jives with her kit, is what I'm saying. So yeah, awesome skill. Great stuff, great stuff. Leonie. She has Rivalry, which is the exact same as Philanderer from Sylvain, except swapped genders. So she gains +2 damage and -2 damage received when next to a male ally. So awesome. Never gonna be upset with that. That's another one you can just like do with Sylvain. Her and Sylvain go together and do stuff together. Awesome stuff. I'm gonna put her up here right by Sylvain. I really like it. Really like it. Alright. Seteth. Good old Seteth. Guardian. Adjacent female allies deal 3 extra damage during combat. I think that is really good. You're gonna notice a trend. I really like the ones that are damage modifiers, and if they're on units who can frontline, such as Seteth. He can frontline, and he just buffs units that are adjacent, buffs female units that are adjacent to him. I think it's funny the idea that he buffs female units. Like, I don't know. It's called Guardian, but I like to think it's like I don't know, maybe he's the attractive knight on campus or something. I don't know. I just think it's kind of funny. Like, look at the hair. It's like and then the beard. I don't know what I'm saying. I feel funny now. I'm gonna stop talking. But I think Guardian's really good on Seteth. This might come as a surprise, I think it's a lot better than Flayn's Lily's Poise. Rarely useful. Lily's Poise, this is what it does. Adjacent allies take 3 less damage during combat. I like that it doesn't have a gender specific requirement like a lot of these do, but it's on a unit who is squishy. Flayn in the front line will just get murdered, right? You need to keep her out of range of stuff more often than not, or she's going to die, especially on Maddening. So the -3 damage is rarely useful because she's not going to be she's not going to be adjacent to your units who are taking damage. Therefore, rarely useful. I think you can use it on some bosses and stuff that don't move, but other than that, not that great. Hanuman's Crest Scala. It gives him Rally Magic, and I like that a lot. I prefer Rally Strength, but Rally Magic is good, so I'm going to put it into S. Because my biggest thing with like Rally Magic is you can use it to gain an extra space with Warp and an extra space with Rescue, which I really like, but also just +4 damage on a unit like Lysithea, especially in the end game, can be the difference between Dark Spike's killing an enemy Holy Knight, or is she not killing it by like 1 or 2 HP. So Rally Magic can be really good. Oh, man. Manuela's is bad. I don't like Manuela's at all. Infirmary Master. Adjacent allies receive crit avoid +10. That's just dumb. Like, rarely are you being crit. Rarely is Manuela going to be in a place where she's able to be adjacent to someone who's getting attacked to help them not get crit. And, again, +10 crit avoid is nothing. Like, that's one of like the least useful things ever. I'd rather get more HP. I'd rather like have a chance to gain HP with Raphael than have a -10 avoid. I mean, -10 crit chance on me or something. I don't know. Just seems a little bad to me. All right, Gilbert's Veteran Knight. This unit takes 2 less damage while in formation with a battalion. So yeah, I mean. It's not a bad unit, but that's really good. He's always going to have a battalion. Therefore, he just takes -2 damage all the time. Awesome flat buff. Aloise. It's a rally. It's rally luck, which is +8 luck. It's called Compassion, and it's bad. Rally luck is like the worst rally. I'll stand by that. Catherine, right there. That's Shamir. Catherine. Catherine is not survival instinct, that is Shamir. Fighting Spirit, Catherine. She takes -5 damage when she does not have a battalion or her battalion has lost its endurance. Similar to Felix's, so I think it's just worse than Felix's. Because why would you not have a battalion on her? There's like no reason not to. And it's worse than Felix's because I'd rather have +5 attack than +5 defense. That's all. Alright, Shamir is honestly pretty bad. I don't like hers. Shamir's is Survival Instinct, and she receives Strength, Magic, Dexterity, and Speed +4 when she initiates combat and defeats the enemy. The reason I don't like this is because Shamir generally, especially on Maddening, doesn't have the stats to be like an enemy phase tank. So you'll kill an enemy, you'll get these buffs, and the only way to really make use of them is to use your dance on her, and then she can attack someone again. Or you leave her in range of a bunch of enemy units, which I'm not comfortable with personally. So I think it's pretty bad, just because of the units on. If that was on someone like Byleth or Hilda or Dedu or something, I would like it a lot more. Someone who can enemy phase effectively, but she can't. And there's very few units who actually can enemy phase in this game. So I don't really, so yeah, it just doesn't jive with her well. So yeah, bad. Bad. Rarely useful. Cyril. I hate this one. Because it get aptitude, which gives him basically plus 20% more likely to increase on level up. Stats to increase on levels. It just gives him 20% to his growths. And as much as I like that idea, as in like an equipable fashion, like if it's a skill that you can put on someone so they leveled up better, I think that'd be more fun and more interesting. But the fact that it's just like tied to him, and it's basically just, all that does is affect his growth rates. That's all it does. It's his base growth rates, and it's always on him, so the aptitude's never going to change anything. It's as if they just set his growth rates and said, let's make it a personal skill to illustrate, hey, he starts off bad, but he can become good. You know, that's all it really is, and I don't like that. I think it's a bad skill, and not because having more growths is bad, but because that's just a stupid concept to me, to make it a skill that's locked to him. It's kind of like Holy Blood in Genealogy of the Holy War generation, in the first generation, where Holy Blood on static characters doesn't change their growths or anything. I mean, it should illustrate that they're stronger and better, or they have something special about them and they'll grow better, but it's like, whatever, because you can't change it. So it's like, that's just their growths. And that's how Cyril feels, except in a bad way. So bad personal skill. I don't like it. All right. Yuritsa, Death Knight, Murderous Intent. If unit initiates combat, grants hit plus 20 during combat. So it's just a crappy hit plus 20 from Ignatz, which I'm going to say is like usually useful, I think. Yeah, that's what we'll say. That's what I said before. Okay. Usually useful. Yeah, that's okay. Because when you're attacking, plus 20 hit's never bad. But the thing is, it doesn't work on enemy phase like Ignatz would. So I don't know. It's bad. It's not as good. It's not bad, but it's not as good. Not as good as hit plus 20. Alright, Anna's. Business prosperity, luck plus 5. Bad. This is dumb. That's just dumb. I don't like it. Alright, Balthus. King of Grappling. Strength and defense plus 6 when HP is less than or equal to 50%. I'm going to put this into rarely useful, because I don't think your units are very often below 50% in a way that you're going to make use of them before healing them. Unless you're like setting up like Vengeance or something like that, with like Bernadetta or Cyril. I don't like that HP requirement. I just don't like it. However, strength plus 6 on a unit with gauntlets, that's basically strength plus 12. And then if you double, strength plus 24. So that's always a nice thing too. Nice thing to consider, but rarely useful in my opinion. Same is gonna go for Honorable Spirit from Yuri. So this is honestly kind of the reason this is so low is because of the complicated requirements to me. Like, if they're not complicated, they're easy to understand. It's just like, this is a pretty rare instance. So if Yuri is not near an ally, it grants attack plus 3 when in combat with a foe 1 space away. So you have to be attacking at a distance, and you have to be not close to any allies. This is dumb. I don't like it. I mean, if you're and 1 space away, I don't like it. It's bad. It's bad. It's bad. Okay, rarely useful. Unless I'm misunderstanding it, and when it says 1 space away, it means like an adjacent enemy. But I'm pretty sure it means like 2 spaces away. I don't know. Tell me in the comments. I might be wrong. If that's the case, then I'll probably put it in usually useful. Alright, Circadian Beat Constance. So she gains attack power while indoors, and gains defensive power while outdoors. This one's a really hard one for me to say, because I like the strength buff. I like the attack buff. But I don't like losing the attack buff when we're not outside. I mean, when we are outside. And there are some big hard chapters that take place outside that strength would be nice, or strength and magic would be nice. I'm gonna put it in a rarely useful. I don't feel like it affects much. And same for Happy. Monstrous Appeal. So all of her attacks are effective against monsters, which is great, but I don't think there's enough monsters for that to really apply too much. But it also makes it easier for monsters to target her. So I think if like you were to use gambits with her and someone else, the monster would probably go after her or something like that. Just makes them target her, which I don't like, but it's whatever. I don't think it's going to affect too much. Now, this is my personal skill tier list, and it's my personal skill tier list. It's what I think, but I want to know what you would change it. So let me know in the comments. Tell me, what did I do wrong? I'm sure you have plenty of thoughts. And of course, like the video. It helps other people find it and helps the channel grow so we can have an even bigger and better community. And of course, subscribe if you're new. We do tier list every Tuesday. and we do some other fun videos and streams throughout the week. Anyways, thanks for watching, friends, and have a good day.